timeline? Time isn't made out of lines. It is made out of circles. That is why clocks are round.
How about I recap real quick on my ultimate RVB theory? According to Season 5, the sword is connected to the time distortion unit. I believe the time distortion unit is connected to the red and blue grunts coming back to life. I think the time distortion unit is originated from Chorus. The time device is connected to the sword, and the sword is connected to Chorus. We know the temple on Chorus is connected to the future cubes. We know Doc goes insane from the future cubes. And Wash has a vision in Season 12, and I believe is from the future cubes because they're connected to the Temple of Vision. Doc goes insane like the grunts go insane, and the religious ranting could be from visions like Wash had connecting to the time distortion unit, to the grunts, to the temple, to the cubes, to Doc, to Wash, to the grunts. According to the Reds and Blues, Church was thrown 1,000 years back into the past, while they were sent 856 years into the future because the bomb on Sidewinder. I think Wyoming actually took Church back in time to sometime after the crash on Sidewinder of the Mother of Invention. The Reds and Blues weren't sent to the future, they were distorted to the future because the bomb damaged Wyoming's time device. Church was put through the time loop to test the time loop's effect on an AI, and he was sent to the past so the director could get him back after having to hide him after the break-in. In the time loop, the Great Prophecy was used to test Church, starting with the story of the Great Destroyer. There were 5 trials of the prophecy: the trial of the windmill, where Tucker claimed the Great Sword; the blue alien came and took him on the next trials, the Burning Plains, where he was supposed to fight a monster. The monster in the first Burning Plains was a cow skull. The swamp came next, and they learned of the darkness that couldn't live without the Great Weapon. The next was the Freezing Plains, where they find an alien ship. Wyoming killed the blue alien within the alien ship. The last trial of prophecy was the Holy Valley with the Great Retriever, who was supposed to reunite Junior, Tucker's alien baby, with the sword. In the first prophecy, Tucker was the hero, the sword was the weapon, the blue alien was the Great Destroyer, the green alien was the Retriever, Junior was the one who was supposed to take the hero's place if he couldn't do it, O'Malley was the darkness trying to take over the sword and rule the aliens, the skull was the monster. During the Holy Valley, Yellow Church was pushed out of Caboose's head and sent back in time to the time loop. I think Yellow Church is an AI fragment created by Church's torture in the time loop, who jumped into Caboose's head and rode him to the future and then was sent back in time to the loop at the beginning of the prophecy. If Yellow Church is an AI, I think he's Zai, the missing AI. The last place we see him is in the hallway in the past, technically the Mother of Invention. Gary is the one who told Church about the Destroyer and the prophecy, and I believe the engineer is the one who told him about the prophecy. I also think he told all the other AI about parts of the prophecy. Gary knows about the Great Destroyer and the trials. Omega is the first darkness. Yellow Church, aka Zai, is connected to the Great Destroyer. At the end of the first prophecy in Season 5, the bomb and time device combined sent Tex forward a year into the future, putting a time warp at the beginning and the end of the first version of the prophecy. Yellow Church going to the beginning of the prophecy where he was created sounds like Church's definition of recursion. I think the prophecy is also being solved by recursion, and the Recollection Trilogy starts the second iteration. Wash was given the Epsilon unit and given memories, making him the next Great Retriever, making the next iteration of the weapon/key Epsilon, because memory is the key. The second iteration of the darkness is Meta, aka Sigma. Season 6 is the second trial of the windmill. Church is the second hero needing the key. Delta is given knowledge that Epsilon is the key. Caboose is the second destroyer. Caboose, the destroyer, ends with the key. Season 7 is the next Burning Plains. CT is the real monster of the plains because his team tortured the engineer. The key was put into the weapon, the orb, resurrecting the hero, and both Tucker Hero and Church Hero killed the monster. Season 8's offsite facility was the next swamp, and the hero, Church, was fully reborn, as well as Tex. Season 8's Sidewinder is the final Freezing Plains. Church was shown to need Tex, taking his ability to be the next Junior away. The Darkness, aka Meta, stole the weapon, Tex. The Meta dies, and Church goes into the memory unit to save Tex. The memory unit is the next Holy Valley where Epsilon learns how to forget Tex. Season 10's modern-day story is the Retriever. Wash, reuniting the twin, Carolina, with the key, Epsilon. Ada and Iota were given the symbolism of the hero and the Junior, aka the twins. Each part of the prophecy is connected to the time loop in Season 3. The windmill event is what Church had to stop in the time loop. The desert is where they woke up after the time warp. The swamp is where the time loop clones were sent after the time loop. The Freezing Plains is where the time loop started and where Church was tested. The memory unit, Holy Valley, is the only one that's an actual simulation in my opinion. The original Holy Valley is where Yellow Church was sent back in time, and Tex was sent a year into the future. The first darkness was O'Malley, the second darkness was Meta, and the origins of the darkness is revealed to be the Director. Director uses the orb to turn the Church clones into Tex drones, and the twin, Carolina, uses the key to stop them, stopping the darkness. The ship at the first Freezing Plains was meant to go to Chorus, where the Reds and Blues go next and find the Chorus War. When the heroes arrive on Chorus, Tucker's the hero, Wash is the retriever, Carolina is the twin, the sword is Tucker's key, Epsilon is Carolina's key, and Caboose is the destroyer and replaced Epsilon with Freckles.
Okay, I get it!
So, Season 12 starts with Tucker, Caboose, Griff, and Simmons as captains for the New Republic. And they have their own sidekicks now, Jensen, Palomo, Bitters, and Andersmith. Felix is their merc mentor this season.
You think these guys have any money lying around? They pay me in old alien tech.
And Kimball is the leader of the New Republic, and she wants to help them find their friends, Wash, Sarge, Donut, and Lopez. As the Reds and Blues build their small team to save their friends, Tucker ends up becoming the leader of this team, moving him up a notch to become the hero of the prophecy. Tucker and Felix are constantly arguing during this, which sets up the fact that Felix is going to be Tucker's enemy later on. Funny enough, Tucker has the sword and Felix has the shield. While Tucker, Caboose, Simmons, and Griff are with Felix and Kimball, Wash, Sarge, Donut, and Lopez are with Locus and the Feds, led by General Donald Doyle.
Is that a problem?
Wash and his side of the team discover that the Feds are actually just as broke and desperate as the New Republic, and their evil Emperor Doyle is a lot more like if C-3PO led the Empire. Wash learns that Doyle is actually a really good guy, and that they see the New Republic as terrorists who have captured Wash, Sarge, Donut, and Lopez as friends. They too are given leadership roles over soldiers, just like Tucker, Griff, Simmons, and Caboose were, except for the Feds instead of for the New Republic. Now, they get a proper introduction to Locus, who tells them Freckles' body was destroyed, but his mind was saved into a small chip, which he gives Wash, who now has to reunite it with Caboose. This interaction also sets up Wash and Locus not trusting each other, Wash being suspicious of him and his motivations, while Locus tries to understand Wash. I had a theory that the alien from Season 4, Crunchbite, would have become the Great Destroyer if Church hadn't stopped Caboose from destroying the windmill, because that would have led him to claiming the sword, and that would have led him to finding the ship on the Great Journey, which I thought would have taken him to Chorus. And he would have used the Purge Temple to wipe out the Corisians and Charon, giving him access to all the technology on the planet, thus supplying the aliens in the Great War. But I only recently realized that had Church not stopped the windmill from blowing up, Wash would have also died. Tex would have died in the temple with all the Reds and Blues, and she would have never gone on the great mission with the alien. She never would have seen Wyoming, and she never would have chased him to find Omega. She never would have recruited York to get help against Wyoming, who never would have died at the hands of Wyoming, and then so Wash would never have followed the recovery beacon to York and gotten Delta and York's healing unit. So Wash would have died when South shot him when they were going after the Meta in Recovery 1. So not only did Church save Chorus from being destroyed, in a way, but it let Wash live to become the Great Retriever, and now it's taken him back to Chorus to be at odds with Locus. This is what I think Wash's vision in Season 12 was telling him. We see that when Wash gets knocked unconscious by Locus when they first met, in Season 11, he had a vision. In the vision, he basically has a comparison between him and Locus, showing the moment where he shot Donut because he had to do what it took to survive as a soldier. And this ends up mirroring Locus's personality as someone who feels like he has to do what he needs to as a soldier because it's his job. While Tucker's half of the team wants to save Wash's half wants to save Tucker's half. Well, eventually, Tucker, Griff, Simmons, and Caboose end up finding Wash and the others, and they find out that Wash and the others were planning on trying to come find them because neither were in any danger. And this puts them in a position to where, they can try to talk to both armies and try to figure out the problems and bring them together. And now that they're one solid team, the Reds and Blues, this is where the scales balancing comes into play. Soon they discover the truth.
Like sheep to the pen.
Oh no.
You're ready for slaughter.
Locus and Felix are working together, leading a third faction to keep the war going on Chorus.
You see, someone, somewhere, out in our galaxy has their eyes set on this planet. The only problem is the inhabitants. Now, if it were up to me, I'd just nuke this place from orbit. But our employer has other ideas.
When they find the Reds and Blues on Chorus, they're hoping to use them to further the chaos so they can end the war sooner and steal all the alien tech. As the Mercs are about to kill the Reds and Blues, they find out that Carolina had actually infiltrated the Pirates' team, and Locus and Felix's team were actually the Mercs that had left the Reds and Blues in the canyon to stop. Not only that, but Carolina and Epsilon learn the Mercs are making half-human, half-alien weapons, with the alien weapons and the freelancer tech. The type of weaponry symbolizes the prophecy being half and half. There have been 2 iterations of the prophecy so far, one half heavily involving the aliens being set up by the blue alien, and the second iteration involving Project Freelancer and the director heavily. And now, on Chorus, it's coming together. Acting quick, Carolina and Epsilon teleport the team to safety with the future cubes, accidentally taking the doc from the base, Emily Gray. Once they settle down and gain their bearings, Wash tells Caboose he saved Freckles' brain for him because luckily Locus had Freckles' mind saved onto its ship. Now Freckles is an AI, just like Epsilon was. And like I said in my last video, Caboose is basically trying to replace Epsilon with Freckles because Epsilon went with Carolina. We find out in Carolina and Epsilon's journey, Epsilon has learned how to speak to his other fragments that he remembers. He's basically, from what it looks like, becoming what the meta was trying to become. Metastable, basically human. In a scene where Carolina and Epsilon are trying to break into one of the Mercs' facilities to gain information, Theta mentions that Carolina's been having bad dreams about the bad guy, insinuating Sigma. I think that's interesting, and I think that'd be a cool moment to slip in a little extra canon there. The Carolina versus Meta fight in Season 14, obviously that whole thing was just a hypothetical situation, and none of the events in that match up well with the canon, so I feel like this would be a good place to take that and just put that in there, because the meta is basically Sigma. They find out that the future cubes are actually connected to this hybrid technology the Mercs are creating, and so they realize if future cubes were on their half of the ship when it crashed, maybe information on what the Mercs are doing are on the other half of the crash. Because apparently when the Reds and Blues ship was pulled down, because of the stupid things they did inside the ship was ripped in half. In crash site Alpha, the Blues find a crashed alien ship. This could be why the alien went for the sword in Season 4. His allies ended up crashing on this planet, being pulled down by the alien temple here, the Temple of Gravity. The Mercs had found the Temple of Gravity on Chorus and actually figured out how to use it, using it to pull down the ships, and raided them for supplies to add to their stolen weapons collection.
Oh my god!
The Reds and Blues learn of radio jammers all over the planet that the Mercs are using to keep the planet from calling for help outside. And they think that if they can get to one of the jammers, they can send a message to both armies warning them that the Mercs are playing both sides and that they're actually still alive. Unfortunately, once the Reds and Blues learned the Mercs' truth, the Mercs had told the other armies that the Reds and Blues died trying to save each other, and now both armies plan to have one last battle to end the war, leading to hundreds of deaths. So Emily helps them get an edge by helping Caboose put Freckles' robot brain into his gun he's had this entire time, which to me is symbolizing Epsilon and the Orb. Like, he replaced Church with Freckles, and now he's putting Freckles, the AI, into his weapon. Like the key into the weapon, the AI into the weapon. He's taking it to the next step. At the radio jammer, Wash versus Locus, Carolina versus Felix. And I know both Mercs fight both freelancers, but Wash is the only one of the two that actually has a rivalry against Locus. Felix's actual enemy is Tucker. As the twin of the prophecy, she's doing it because Tucker isn't able to. This is where I believe they start to hit home the idea of who Locus and Felix are in the prophecy. The thing about Locus is, in this season, there is a difference between him and Felix. Between Locus and Felix, Felix is the only one who ever expressed any interest in the weapons and making money to survive, and also hinting that he wanted Tucker's sword at one point. And Locus is the only one who preaches about his true role being a soldier, a killer, and not regretting it because that's your order.
You keep trying to play yourself off as some sort of weapon. No matter how hard you may want to be, you're not a machine. You're a murderer.
In my opinion, Season 12 is the beginning of the revelation that Locus is the Great Destroyer, and Felix is the darkness that needs the weapon to survive. And when I saw Season 13, I started to realize that maybe this theory is correct. Tucker tries to go up against Felix alone and fails, but fortunately was able to catch Felix in his own lies and send the truth to the two armies with Epsilon's help. Now exposed by the Reds and Blues, the Mercs follow orders and retreat.
Let me assure you all, this is not over.
This is Vanessa Kimball of the New Republic ordering an immediate ceasefire.
All soldiers of the Federal Army stand down at once!
Now that the two armies have come to a truce, they retreat back to Kimball's base, where Church finishes cracking the manifest.
Charon Industries, big umbrella corporation that got a hand in pretty much every major market you can think of. Even messed around with cryogenics a few years back. But it looks like their largest profits come from weapons and technology. They own most of the stuff on the ship.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, Project Freelancer stole some assets from them once or twice, and managed to destroy quite a bit of private property in the process.
You mean the Resistance? I thought they were a UNSC splinter group.
The soldiers were all UNSC, but according to my records, they'd been hired on to act as Charon's private security force.
Is that legal?
I doubt it.
This also connects CT, the leader, pill guy, whatever, and his mission to find the orb. The Charon soldiers originally had ODST armor when we first saw them in Season 9 and 10, but after CT gave her armor up to the leader, now Charon men suddenly have a similar style armor. I think it's interesting, and that could be a cool way of explaining why their armor suddenly looks different.
Looks like Charon and the military started getting really buddy-buddy around the time that... Oh.
The last thing they discover is that the CEO of Charon Industries is Malcolm Hargrove, aka the chairman of the Oversight Subcommittee for the UNSC. That explains why he was so hard-pressed to take down the director. The director stole the engineer from him and possibly other tech along the way. I said the prophecy was like recursion, and this whole thing in both iterations of the prophecy was because the director. However, now it goes farther back than him. He stole the alien tech from Charon, who had stolen it from Chorus and places like Chorus. Now the Reds and Blues followed it back here. Playing off of Caboose's line that time is made of circles, while that is a joke Caboose is making, I believe that the prophecy is actually time correcting itself from the events of Season 3. That in a way, the time circle is coming back together.
Then what are our orders? Go to war.
Bring it on, motherfuckers. We're not going anywhere. From your friends, the incredibly badass and sexually attractive Red and Blue soldiers of Project Freelancer. P.S.